Right then, Tommy, Tails. Good job we weren't doing this video on Wednesday. It's Thursday today, because if we'd have been doing it yesterday, literally the landscape changed every 5 seconds. Probably got to start with the obvious one, Tommy. Jack Grealish looks like he's going to complete his move to Man City at the time of filming. Someone you played with, someone you know well. I know you upset the Villa fans a little bit on Sky Sports the other day.
I didn't see that.
Put this one to Tails, let him get abused.
Yeah. Go on, we'll start with you then, Tails. What do you make of it? What do you think of what's happened?
I think from I'll answer that question from Jack's point of view. He's obviously a massive Villa fan. I know his family is. It's going to be the biggest decision he's made in his life, probably.
Yeah. To
leave this football club, and he wouldn't have taken it lightly. And I think some people I've seen have been talking about the money side of it. I think it's got nothing to do with money.
He's not
at all.
Money, is it?
No. And I think it's been documented that we've offered more than what City could pay him. But it's a purely football decision, and I think Jack is feeling that he's at the stage of his career where this is kind of a now or never situation, where he can go and win something, play in the Champions League. One of the biggest things for me was being in that dressing room with all those other England players for 2 months or whatever it was, and some of those guys playing in Champions League finals, winning the Champions League, they're all talking about it. Jack wants some of that, and he wants some of that now, doesn't he? Yeah. And having that experience playing for England and playing with those players, being with those players for hours and hours talking about it, it's gonna turn your head. And I don't blame him for doing it. I'm a Villa fan like you and like a lot of other people who'd love to see him stay, but he's in the situation now where he's thinking, I've got the chance of playing at the highest level, at the highest club level, and he's going to take that chance.
I guess, Tommy, if there was a guarantee that probably over the next few years Villa would be qualifying for the Champions League, it might have made things different, but there's no guarantees at all. Despite the progress the club's making, he's 26 next birthday. This is his chance to get amongst the elite now. He can't really afford, I was saying to Tails off camera, he can't really afford to wait for Villa to catch up with his ambitions, because then you get into the point where you're pushing 30 and those opportunities might not come round again. So from that perspective, it's understandable.
100%. I think Tails hit the nail on the head as well. I think being away with England, being with the likes of Foden and Henderson and all of them, they're all playing at that level. As Tails said, some of them lads won it as well last season. It's probably not helped Villa's cause in keeping him, but what a window so far it's been for Villa. And I think, like, my big message to Villa fans, if it does happen by the time this comes out, just enjoy it. Like, what an unbelievable achievement. So many people have played such a part in this lad's career, coming from 6 years old, 7 years old through the academy. And you've just sold a player for 100 million who's one of your own. Everyone should just take such pride in that. There'll be coaches, we've seen the youngsters win the Youth Cup this season or last season gone, and there's more of that to come, hopefully, and hopefully in some weird way they won't be having to make that decision, because Villa will be in sort of the upper echelons of the Premier League, knocking on the door of Europe. And just be proud of a local lad that's gone and just blown a transfer record out the water. And hopefully, even enjoys his if it is City, his journey now. If he's going to go and win a Champions League or a Premier League, enjoy that he was here and was brought through by so many people like Sean Verity and Mark Delaney and Kev McDonald and all these sort of people that have played a part in Jack's career. And even recently, managers like Dean Smith, who's nurtured him and made him the captain of the football club and brought his game on. Enjoy that and be proud of that.
Because there will be people that will look at it and say, well, everything you've said is fair, but he could have carried on that legacy with Villa. Just how much of a wretch would it have been for him to leave? Because you've trained with him, you've played with him. He loves the club, doesn't he? That doesn't change.
Like, we can't sit here and we can sort of draw parallels to the emotions that he'll be going through, but we've never ever been in that. None of us have ever been in that situation. 100 million to one of the best teams of. It's even the manager's situation. Look, Dean Smith is an unbelievable manager. He's done so good for this football club. You talk about Pep Guardiola. He's like probably the best manager of all time. Like, to go and experience that journey with him now for Jack, that would have been planned on his mind. Like, and that is nothing against any other manager. Again, Dean Smith's a brilliant manager, an unbelievable manager. He'll keep taking this club forward. But to say that you're working for Pep Guardiola, like, come on, it's things like that. And
play with De Bruyne.
Playing with
De
Bruyne.
We know he's one of his heroes. He's desperate to go and play with him.
Yeah. I left. The only sort of parallels I can draw to, as I said before, is when I left my hometown club to go to another club, and I remember getting in the car and I cried the whole way, just because, like, you've been coming in for the same, seeing the same people at the same place for like every day since you left school. It's so hard to say goodbye to these people, and it'll be stupid things. It'll be like people in the canteen and people on the reception, and you'll stay in touch with your teammates, the kit men, and people that you've just been so comfortable around for so long. They're the hardest things. But it's going to be exciting to watch him play in Europe, especially.
I can't sound too excited about watching him play against Villa, but I won't think about that for now. People will be surprised probably to hear you talking like that, because there'll be people that would say, well, someone like Ian Taylor, if he had to make that decision, he would stay at Villa. You've said to me previously that if you'd have had the chance to go to an elite club at the time you were at Villa, I mean, you are Mr. Aston Villa as well. It would have been something you'd have seriously considered.
Yeah, I think you have to. Football's a career at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes people lose the fact that it is a career, it is a job, and you ask anybody in any walk of life if they can go on and not that I said it earlier. It's not about money. If they can go on and experience the best things in the best in their career, then they'll take the chance to do it, won't they? And football's no different. A lot of people look at it as more emotional thing than a career, when sometimes it is a career. And you came to Villa because you thought it was the best choice for you and your family.
Yep.
And that's the way you do it. It's a job like any other career.
Yeah. And I completely forgot what I was going to say.
So even you're getting emotional. You're getting emotional. I can see the tears.
I'm too upset about it. He is upset.
I mean, we're all upset about it, but I totally understand where Jack is at the moment, and it's gonna be a massive decision for him.
We was talking about the owners and stuff. This football club, with or without Jack, is going in.
That's the thing.
In the right direction.
It's going in the right direction, and not one player is bigger than a football club as well. You can't forget that. As good as Jack is, and he is top. We've all seen it. We've all experienced it, but no one is bigger than a football club. And we've seen now, within sort of hours, if you like, minutes, if you like, of Jack sort of looking like he's leaving, go and sign Danny Ings. I mean, what a window. That's what I'm trying to... Everyone needs to sort of channel that emotion and them thoughts into this, with or without Jack. This has been an unbelievable window so far for Villa.
Yeah, the club played an absolute blinder yesterday, Taz, because if you were upset about Jack Grealish, the best way to bounce back from
do you know what I've liked about the last few weeks is the way the club has handled everything, and it's gone back to the way where we're going to be seen as a club that does things properly. Yep. We've not let City have Jack until we've got our signings in.
Yeah, ours announced first.
The way the contract situation was handled, with
the owner's not tweeting anyway.
Well, we've moved on from those times. We've moved on from those days.
Even the fact that we've got the signings in. The new contract for Jack was signed so we could get 100 million. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't look at that
No,
contract.
they don't. They don't.
And there will have been something in that contract, whether it be a clause or a gentleman's agreement or something. There'll have been something that, as much as people say, well, he signed a 5-year deal, he should commit to that. There's obviously something in that contract that's giving him the opportunity to make this move if the chance comes along. Yeah. So you can look at it that way as well. Villa wouldn't have got 100 million.
Plus he's signed a 5-year deal, knowing that the 5 years doesn't mean anything really.
Yeah.
It's about the money that we could get for him. And Jack didn't have to sign that contract. No. At all. So
he'd have probably been in a better position if he hadn't have done, really, because less transfer fee.
Exactly.
More clubs might have been around him, yeah.
So all round, it was geared to keep us happy, keep Jack happy, and whoever wants to come in and pay 100 million happy. And it's all happening. Yeah. So Yeah, begrudgingly, Jack's gonna go, but I think it's probably the best thing for everybody. And plus, with the signings that we're making, I think you don't like to say it, but Jack was the fulcrum of our team.
Too reliant on him.
Yeah. Too reliant on him. And hopefully now we can spread the risk a little bit. We can have more players contributing, and not that the players weren't contributing before.
It's very geared around.
But the stats speak for themselves when Jack was playing and when he wasn't playing. So hopefully we can address that now.
I don't know. In the dressing room, Tales, you seem to, especially these days with stats, and they're so sort of prominent and in your face, and everywhere you look, they're there as well. And in the dressing room, like, you can see when Jack's not playing, and it plays on your mind. It becomes a psychological thing. And now almost there's a line been drawn under it. It's come to a conclusion that I think, like Tal just said there, it suits everybody. It's the right thing to happen. Almost like move on, and that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Wendy, all these players coming in. All of a sudden you're looking around, you're going, yeah, we've got 2 or 3 lads here that can step up. It's a good. Going forward, it'll be Villa won't struggle. You know what I mean? As much as some people are making out for it to be,
I know it hurt. It's going to hurt now, isn't it? Because I had the situation when Dwight York left. It was the same kind of situation where we were close to getting into that top 4, and you thought if Dwight stayed, we could kick on. Had a few more signings. We had a really good team at the time playing in Europe, and we just needed that little bit more extra push. And Man United came in for Dwight, took Dwight out of it, set us back a couple of years.
And the money was spent well, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Dublin, Merson, got good players in, and perhaps built a more complete side. I know, to be fair, we didn't go on and win anything, but do you know what I mean? You can, if you spend the money well, you can be in a better position. Did you find when you were there? Did you ever feel we are a bit too reliant on Jack here, even in the Championship?
Yeah, it was really. I always remember the game that he come back, Derby, Dean Smith made him captain, and the boost it just gave the dressing room. And I don't know, you always worried, what about if Jack weren't here? And I remember going back as well, the season where Tottenham were quite
interested in him.
That nearly went through as well.
It nearly went through, and fair play to the owners and Jack for staying at that time, which again, it was a difficult one for him. It wasn't straightforward. And when he stayed, the boost that it gave everyone. But I do think now, I'm happy that it's happened now and not in 2 or 3 weeks' time. If it kept dragging and dragging and dragging, it's not the atmosphere that you want down at the training camp. When you get back to the training ground, first real pre-season game coming up, or last pre-season game, should I say, and the league sort of round the corner. It's timing. It just feels, I don't know. It's emotional for everyone, I get it, but it feels, when we're all sitting here talking now, the dust has settled a little bit. Maybe not yet, but I do think it's the right solution, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I found myself, I always thought the day Jack Grealish goes, or we know he's going, that's going to be an awful day. I'm going to be beside myself. I'm going to hate it. I'm not going to say how the club's going to recover, but I think the club turned it into quite a positive day yesterday, like we say. We know Jack's going. Do you think, obviously we're here to preview the season and what we think Villa are going to do. Villa's ambitions don't change with Jack going, do they at all?
No, not at all. We're definitely looking to get into Europe. Whether we can do that this season, I don't know, but you've got to rely on some of these signings working straight away, haven't you? But like you say, it's more positive than negative after what's happened in the window.
That's a good position to be in.
Yeah. And like I said, it's gonna sting regarding Jack leaving, but we've got to get over it and we've got to move on.
Yeah.
You played against Danny Ings at any point in your career?
I would have done. I think sort of a bit earlier when he was maybe at Burnley. Yeah. Very shallow. We were saying earlier, he's 4th highest Premier League score in the last 2 seasons. Like that. What more do you want, really? I love the way, like Tal said, that Villa go about their business as well, and they make signings, and then you see them announce, you're like, yeah, it fits. I love the way they put an onus on British lads as well. They're very big on bringing British lads. Ashley Young coming in. It's just been such a great window, an exciting window. Players like Buendia as well. We've seen what he's been doing in pre-season, and And there's more to come. That's the other thing as
Yeah.
well. If we do lose Jack and players like Cantwell being rumoured, you know, they're great players, and yeah, it's been a great window so far.
12 months ago, Villa being in for Danny Ings would have seemed ridiculous. I don't think the club would have been maybe able to pull that off 12 months ago, but it does show the strides that they've made. He's been linked with Man City.
Yeah.
He's been linked with Tottenham a little bit as well. You know, he's one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League. He's an assassin in front of goal. He's so clinical, so cold. And now you've got him and Watkins in there as well, who's a phenomenal striker, had a great season, you know. It feels like there's goals in the team.
Well, obviously, Dean Smith's been looking at that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, obviously we know Jack adds assists, but he's looking at goals as well. And you know, Bailey's he's not too shabby regarding goals and assists either in the Bundesliga. So, you know, these guys that we're bringing in, they're quality players, and there's not one of them you'd look at and think, well, question that a little bit. They all look decent players, and if they can gel, then it's looking good.
That was just on that. Sorry, that was the one thing when I watched Villa last year. I always felt there was a need for like real blistering pace.
Yeah,
and like,
very one-paced.
When you're talking about like going from the champ to the Prem, as we all know, like the pace is like being quick in the champ doesn't mean you're quick in the Prem. You know what I mean? It's a whole new level. And with Bailey and now Ings, like that's quick. You know. So that was the one sort of area I felt like they needed to fill a void almost with the pace, which they've obviously highlighted and done.
Because we're saying now, obviously we don't know because we're not Dean Smith, but we think Watkins might move to the left. Obviously, moving your main goal scorer may seem a strange move because he did so well as the leading guy as well. He's pressing. That's the thing. But Ings presses as well. You know, like I said earlier, we could become a more complete team here. Definitely more goals in the side. When you throw in even El Ghazi, who becomes a squad player, you know, there's goals in him. He's did double figures, I think, last season. Got the circle of life as well, where we're upset Man City are coming in and taking our player, but you know Norwich have got promoted. We've come in and taken their player, Buendia. You know, suddenly there's that attack is looking like it could be quite fruitful.
Yeah, and it's got balance to it as well.
Yeah,
like we say,
types.
Bailey who's electric pace, and Buendia would be a bit more Jack type. You know, very tricky and skillful and get sort of in between lines, and Ings who's going to be on the shoulder. You know, and yeah, it would just be interesting to see. We was as we said there, we were talking earlier about possibly Axel coming back and as well, and will there be a little bit of a formation change? Will he move Watkins to one side? So it'd be interesting to see how they line up Saturday in the first pre-season game.
Yeah, we'll come on to the defence. Your old place, the midfield. That's the bit in the squad I'm still not sure of.
Yeah.
I think individually we've got a lot of good players in that central midfield area, but I'm not sure we ever found the best combination. I think maybe towards the back end of the season, Nakamba and McGinn worked better. But you do feel that there's a bit of a need for a proper physical midfielder in there, especially with all that attacking talent now in
when
front.
all the you look at the top teams, they've all got a big physical midfielder. You know, City have got Rodri, Liverpool have got the Brazilian in there. You know what I mean? Even Leicester have got Ndidi.
He's the kind of player
you know
to unearth someone like that.
Yeah. They've all got one, the top sides, and only Chelsea really who get away with it. But they've got Kante, who's like two players.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's what we need, because I think we are maybe lacking something in the middle of the park from a physical point of view. But
Ward-Prowse seems to be the one. I don't think it's going to go through, and I think I
can't see them selling two players. I know
that'd be absolute uproar there. But he's the one who Villa have been interested in.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily say he's the type of player that we need.
I went and watched Brighton. Brighton played Luton in a pre-season friendly last Saturday. I went and watched them, and someone like Basuma.
Yeah, a lot of Villa fans like him.
Yeah, someone like that, and you need to probably go and unearth someone like that and give him a little bit of time. I think they've tried to do it with Douglas Luiz and Nakamba, and I actually really like Nakamba. I'm a big fan of Nakamba. I think a lot of what he does goes unnoticed, and sometimes in football these moves are underestimated, and it does take a long time to settle in and get your family settled and get comfortable with your surroundings. And with another year on their back, Douglas Luiz and Nakamba, they could just be the ones to step up. You don't know.
True. You know, we are quick to judge players.
Yeah, Luiz was a funny one last season. It started off unbelievable, ended the season before after lockdown, unbelievable. Started the season really well, but he did fade in the second half of the season, didn't he?
Yeah. some of these lads are playing a lot of football. You know, he's still playing now, and you know what's going to happen when he comes back?
He's not going to start the season.
You know, and we're talking about the last pre-season game this weekend. We've got a week before the season starts. We've not even got all the players in.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So it's from Dean Smith's point of view, it's a nightmare when you're trying to still prepare and the season's starting next week.
Yeah. Someone who everyone's kind of forgotten about as well, Morgan Sanson.
Yeah. He was unlucky with
injured.
his injury, and I think there's more to come from him as well. So, yeah, it's a nice headache to have. And, you know, one of the things that we said last season was about the depth of the squad. It's been addressed now, isn't it?
Yeah. There'll still be more. That's the weird thing that we know there'll still be more signings. Obviously, we're recording on a Thursday
we've got
morning.
a far deeper squad now than what we did have.
Yeah, we expect Twanzebe to go through by the time this video goes out. You played with him at Villa. Yeah. You're saying he's a great player, but Konsa and Mings.
Yeah, Konsa and Mings. I mean, that was they were mainstays, weren't they? And there was and House.
He had a good season last season when he was
done well and coming in at tough times as well, and you know, not hard to fill them boots when the lads are doing so well. So can't forget Courtney as well, and every squad would like 4 centre halves. Obviously lost Engels. So if you're going to go with Konsa, Mings, House, and Twanzebe,
it's not a bad quartet, is it?
It's like the ages of them as well. Like they're all at the right ages, and that again, it's the thing I love about the recruitment. These lads they're all sort of getting better. They're not declining.
The good ages, aren't they?
Good ages, yeah, and that helps in the dressing room, bringing it all together. So, yes, it's really the people who are doing the recruitment, clever guys, and they obviously know what they're doing.
Do you think Axel needs to get away from Manchester United a little bit? Because he's his third loan spell at Villa now, isn't
he needs to stay fit.
Yeah.
And that's not a nice thing to say, but he needs to go through a season, like not getting these niggles. And I think he had 2 loan spells when I was there, and I think both times he ended up going back through injuries. And you just want to see him stay fit, because if he stays fit, like, he could be anything.
Yeah, and we've addressed the balance of the squad. We've lost Elmer, lost Neil Taylor, lost Tom Heaton. That's a lot of experience gone, but they've rectified that by bringing Ashley Young back to the club for a second spell. I think that's
just kind of gone under the radar a little bit, hasn't it?
I
know he's getting on a bit. He's not too far behind us, is he, man? But
you very kind bracketing yourself in the same as Tommy there.
I know, yeah.
That was well kind.
But it's an astute signing. He's got so much experience just off the back of winning the championship in Italy as well. It's like
fit lad.
He's a fit lad.
36.
Yeah, any of the winger that goes back to fullback has got a flipping cigar on. So he's a great signing. I think great for the dressing room.
Yeah,
I never ever thought, that 10 years ago when he was ripping it up for Villa down the left flank, that he'd be coming back and playing fullback. He's really adapted his game, hasn't he?
Yeah, I remember playing in an FA Cup game here, 3rd round against Villa, and he played. He was unbelievable. I think he played up front that day. He was unbelievable, just sharp, and evolved as a player. And again, like, you talk about smart recruitment, like losing these lads, like you said before, Neil Taylor, the Elmos, Heatons, and going replacing like that sort of loss in the dressing room with someone like Ashley Young, countless Premier Leagues, domestic cups, off the back of playing a big part in the Serie A sort of championship winning team, and great signing.
Yeah, because it'll be important to have that figurehead in the dressing room. And well, the captain looks like he's going. We expect Mings will take the armband, but having someone like Ashley Young, who's been there, done that, done everything, really having him in the dressing room now, that'll be critical for Villa, because people don't realise how much of a part the players that don't play, the older heads, Neil Taylor, Elmer, they don't realise how much of a part those guys play in the dressing room, do they?
Well, that's something that's in the modern game that is addressed more and more. I think you saw it with the England squad, with the way Gareth wanted his England squad. He wanted everybody involved at all times, and I think that's more and more prevalent in the game now, and that it's not just about the 11 on the pitch, it's about the whole squad. And you need to have a happy dressing room, don't you? You need to have a happy dressing room, and it's not just those 11 that are going to be happy, because you're going to have to call on those other players at some point, and you've got to keep them all happy.
Yeah, I mean, you played in some interesting dressing rooms. How much of a far cry is this club now from when you first joined?
It's well, yeah, it seemed a mile away, some of the stuff that was going on. Listen, the 3 years I had here, it just taught me so much, because you saw so many different situations, and you always knew, sort of bubbling away, there's that massive club was just waiting to come out and get back going, and when it did. But the catalyst for all of this is the owners, and it's like walking around here today and seeing what's going on at the stadium and what's going on at the training ground and the plans that they've got. That they have to take such huge credit in the direction that this football club's going.
Yeah, even like the training. I don't know whether you've been down since they've done it up. Just talk to us about the change behind the scenes at Bodymore, because he's a different gravy now.
Well, this club has always been one of the top clubs in England, and obviously we've had setbacks in the last decade or so, but they want to be back to where they were, and you have to get the infrastructure right. You have to get the training ground right, stadium, the whole lot, to attract the best. Because eventually you'll want to try and attract the best players here, and you need to have a good stadium. You need to have a good training ground and all that kind of stuff. So they're striving to be the best, and the owners that we've got now, I think they know how to be the best or want to be the best. So it's exciting times. I know, keep going back to Jack and and what's happening, but I think we've just got to look forward now and see that we're in a good place. The season's coming up. It's going to be an exciting season, I think, with the new players we've got, and look forward. How much
time have you spent with the owners? I know you obviously would.
Yeah, a little bit on the occasions.
What are they like?
I think obviously we've seen Wes Edens with his basketball team.
I mean,
he's a winner. He's a winner and wants to win. And he's done that with a team that's not won for like 50 odd years. So he'll be looking at it from an Aston Villa viewpoint, thinking, this team's not won for anything for so long. I want to do the same with Aston Villa Football Club. So they've got deep pockets. They want to do big things, and I think we're in really good hands.
Yeah, because this 100 million, it won't come in straight away. It'll be in instalments. So Villa haven't suddenly just got an extra 100 million to play with, but already the money that they've put in the club, even since you left, wasn't that long ago. The change is ridiculous.
I mean, Tails hit the nail on the head, and it links back to the question before about sort of a squad and the 11 behind the 11 and whatnot, and it's all about the infrastructure. If you get these things right, and if you get the right people in the right places, like we've seen a change in sort of the last couple of years with the sporting director. The CEO is obviously a very experienced guy who's operated at the top table like for a long, long time. They went and got Johan as the sporting director. They're putting all these pieces that may not seem big things to the fans and may go under the radar. Like we're talking about Ashley Young in football terms now, going under the radar a little bit. But these little things, they all add up and make it what it is and keep the machine and the engine well oiled. I'd still speak to Mile Jedinak quite a bit, and he's obviously back in the club. Just having good people around the building like that, and it was even when you go back to when we was in the Championship under the previous ownership, our strategy was just go and buy all the best players, put them together, and it'll work. Like it clearly didn't work, but you could see as soon as these guys come in, right, who's the best manager in the Championship at the moment? Dean Smith. Let's go and get him. He's the best person to be in that job to get the best out of this team. Bang, we went and done it. Moving up, all these little things happen. They bring a set piece coach in,
ask about that.
Stuff like that. It's just get the best people in the best jobs, empower them, let them run with it, and you'll get to where you want to get to.
It's all been built, hasn't it? It's all been built gradually.
It's
not, like you say, there was a scattergun approach before about getting all the best players in, and that didn't work. But they've looked at it and thought, okay, we'll do it step by step. We'll do it little by little, and they've got to this stage where they're at now, and it just feels like it's just ready to explode, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I think that's right about the step by step. I think when Villa first came up, Tommy, people like yourself, Jedinak, Whelan, a lot of players left. Yeah. They had to go and spend money and try and build a squad quickly. So that kind of made it look
tough.
A lot was made of that, and we had to get players in because we only had half a squad.
Had to, and you look back and maybe could they have kept a Mile around for another year and they wouldn't have had to have been you can go back and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but that's where I just think they learned from that mistake very quickly. Not that it was a mistake because it got them to where they Staying up was the priority. It got them to where they got to, but they approached the following season differently. They're approaching this season differently again. And yeah, I listen, like Tales just said, you can just feel, you can sense these clubs. You know, when you're walking around and you see the sort of social media stuff, and you have a little insight to what's going on, you can just sense it, that something special sort of boiling under the surface.
If you've worked with a set-piece coach, obviously Villa are bought in McKay, this new set-piece coach, that feels like quite a niche move. Probably other clubs do have it.
Brentford did it, didn't they? I think they had success. I imagine, again, it would have been driven by the manager.
Yeah.
He had one at Brentford. I think, did he go to Man United in the finish? He went somewhere else, didn't he? It obviously works. It's becoming more and more, when you look at the stats, the amount of goals that are scored from set pieces, and when you talk about set pieces, it's not just a free kick or a corner. There's more to it. There's throw-ins. There's different areas of the pitch. So yeah, I actually, in a strange way, I bumped into the new sporting, not new anymore, but the sporting director a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling me about this set piece coach that they are bringing in and how they sourced him. And yes, the thought that is going behind these sort of appointments and where they're going, it's not just the impulse, Brentford have got one, they've done well, let's go and get one. You know, it's something that's consulted and some, right, let's go and get the best one then, let's do it properly. And yeah, let's see if it works.
It's one of the things that's changed in football, isn't it? There's roles for everything. You know, in my day, one of the coaches would do set pieces. He'll put the kit out. He'll do a lot more than what people are doing. And now there's individual roles for different people.
It's a good time to retire.
It is, mate, because like there's
a job doing anything.
There's a squad of like 20 odd staff that do everything. So you know, there's so much attention to detail now. It's unreal.
Because they've done a lot of work on the medical side, haven't they? Because I was talking to someone who works at the club about the Wesley's rehabilitation, and like his injury sounded like one of the worst injuries that there's ever been. But the way the medical team worked with him and brought him back, they did some unbelievable work. So it's about trying to get the best in class in all those areas, like you're amalgamating, like you said earlier.
You talk about the medical side. It's for clubs, the most important thing is to keep your players on the pitch.
I can't believe it, honestly.
As long as you can. Yeah. So that has got to be paramount.
Issue insurance policy. That's the way I've looked at it. And every club up to now that I've been at, it's like, just do it cheap. Let's get interns in, fill the building up with cheap like staff, but that's your insurance.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you go and get a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. You're not going to insure it with the cheapest insurer. You're going to want to know you're covered. And that's the way I've always looked at things like the medical and the way you travel. And that's gearing these players up to be available. If you're going to go and spend 30 million on a Buendia or a Bailey, you want to know that they're available for 90% of the season. How do you do that? Well, you employ the right strength and conditioning coaches, the right fitness people, the right doctors, and so on and so forth. So, but they know that, Villa. You know, it's not that scattergun approach where let's just go and get the best players. That's all that matters. I'm not worried. The investment that they're putting into the youth team and the academy.
Yes, frightening players coming through.
Win the Youth Cup. You know, what an exciting time for them lads to see someone like Jack go on for what he's. Be them, you know what I mean? Or hopefully it won't have to be them because they'll be doing it with Villa. So it's happening. Yeah, it is.
Let's talk a bit more. Let's talk about some of those youth players then, Towers. Is there anyone you expect to come through and make a big impact this season? Chukwuemeka?
Yeah, the obvious one. I have to try and remember the names now. But lad that's gone out on loan.
Kessler, was it?
Yeah.
I loved Kessler.
I like him. Yeah, really like him. Great athlete. Gets up and down. Quality on the ball. I've got high hopes for him because it's a position as well that, you know, a lot of young lads can come in and play. But there's a few of them. I like Brad up front. Works tirelessly, and because I was there at the Youth Cup final, and to take a penalty like that in the final. You just don't do it at that age. Do you know what I mean?
I was in the hole, to be fair. I never felt like he was going to miss it, even with that run. It was weird.
I got when my last season at Villa, I started doing my coaching badges, and used to go in with Sean Verity on a sort of Monday and a Thursday, and that was the age group I used to sort of just watch and join in every now and then with. And I took a little session with them one night, and Aaron Ramsey, Brad Potts, there was a few of the others. Kessler was there. And one of the centre halves dropped out injured, so I turned to Sean, I said, do you want me to just jump in quickly? Like, they was having a little game, so I've jumped in at centre half. I'm not warm. Jumped in, and keeper's rolled me the ball out, and someone has come and absolutely levered me from the side. Brad Potts. I was like, who is this kid? Like, he'll do for me.
You mean Brad Young?
Sorry, Brad Young, is it? Yeah, Brad Young, sorry, yeah. He has got a bit about, he's got that sort of, he's still a bit of a street boy, you know what I mean? He's got that hunger and that. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Missing some proper Brummie accents in the team as well. Now Jack's gone as well. He's got a belting Brummie accent. Unbelievable. But you need that's the thing with signing players as well. You need to create that pathway. Like we've seen Jacob Ramsey, we didn't even talk about when we talked about the midfielders. He came through and played a lot of games last season, probably more than he would have anticipated he played. But you need to buy players, but you also need to still have that pathway to the first team, and it's a difficult balancing act.
Yeah, it is, and because of the pressures that surround everything now, it's becoming real tough for these youngsters to. There's so much that surrounds making your debut and that journey now. Like when we was coming through or whatever tales it was.
This has been so kind.
I like the we.
You didn't have them exterior influences, like it wasn't about Instagram, or it wasn't about Twitter or the newspapers. You know what I mean? It wasn't as in your face. And I look at my generation. So when I was coming through the youth teams, it was the last age group to change. It used to be 17s, 19s, reserves, first team, and then they changed it 18s, 23s, first team, and they draw that process out a little bit longer now for these youngsters. So they keep them sort of where they want them to be, like really, really nurture them and take their time with them, hold on to them a bit longer before they're ready for the first team, which is such a difficult process. But again, the club are addressing that by bringing people like Mile back to help these youngsters, get them out on loan, get them experience in men's football, having like that figure that they can speak to, that when they're in that bubble, whether it be at a Swindon or a Port Vale, wherever it is, you know, you're parked here for a season, but don't forget the bigger picture here. You know, when you're going in training, this is what Villa expect, this is the way they want to do things. So again, it's something they've addressed. They've seen that they've got this unbelievably talented group coming through, and they're gearing them up for success as well.
Spent some money as well, haven't they, on the academy, the owners? I think that was one of the first things they noticed when they came in. They were not happy with the academy facilities. God, they've rectified that. You know, I think the budget feels like it's a little bit unlimited in the youth as well, because we're picking off players from teams as well, players that big clubs like Bayern Munich would usually come in and take, even though they're English. I don't know the German teams now, they look heavily at young English talent, but Villa are the ones that are getting those young talents now.
But you're right, that's one of the first things that they looked at when they came in, was the academy. Changed the academy boss, brought Mark Harrison in, who had a great reputation at West Brom. So it's nice taking him off them.
Say what, we're taking everyone off West Brom.
I know, well, obviously he knows some of the players at West Brom, so we've nicked a couple of theirs. But I know, I mean, we talk about transfers and everything. You know, we've taken players from other teams as well. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But yeah, it was definitely addressed, and you know, I think West Brom were known as one of the better teams in the area for getting players, and we've looked at that and tried to address it, because we want to be the best team in the area for getting those local youngsters. So hopefully we can continue doing that.
Because good Villa teams, I feel like as a fan, they always have a local lad from the academy playing, and it's been way too long now since we bought anyone I would say has properly come in through. There's been glimpses of people over the years, but you know, the last two players that I would say have properly made it in the Villa first team from the academy would be Gabby and Jack. Yeah. That's a hell of a long time passed since anyone's come through there. That's not good enough, really, is it? And the owners have seen that and they want to change it. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, you know, Jack's picture will be up in the academy for years and years to come. So, you know, that's been an amazing achievement for them, because that's what the academy's for, isn't it? It's to make players like Jack Grealish who are going to go for 100 million. So, yeah, it's been addressed, and like I said, hopefully we can continue doing that.
Cup run would be good for Villa. I don't feel like there's... I mean, obviously we got to the final in the first season back in the Prem, but FA Cup for one, I don't feel like we've taken that seriously for so long now. Do you think now we're building a bit of a better squad, we'll be able to have a better run at the Cups?
Yeah, it's gonna help, isn't it? If they do want to it's become fashionable, hasn't it, to change the team for these cup runs. But yeah, as we said before, we're trying to fit all these players in, and what formation? Maybe it is for squad depth, and maybe it is for that 11 behind the 11, if you like. And yeah, like, the FA Cup will always sort of be, you know, I always see Aston Villa as one of them teams that was always prominent in the FA Cup. So it would be lovely to see them get to a final, maybe. Yeah.
Were you even born when we won the FA Cup? You wouldn't have been, would you? Last one, 57.
No.
Sorry, I
can't believe you're asking the question.
I really over-evaluated that there. Sorry. I couldn't do the maths quick enough in my head. I just off the cuff decided to ask it, and I couldn't do the maths quick enough. I mean, to be fair, it's about time you were put up a bit after you've been bracketing it yourself with Tommy on the way to the podcast.
No, but you're right. I think it's one of my bugbears in football. Is, you know, in this country there's 3 competitions you can win. No. You're probably not going to get one of them, but you've got a chance of winning the other 2, and you don't go for them. And I just think you got to go and try and win a trophy. That's what it's all about.
Because you can sit back and say that I played for Villa, played for my local team. I was a hero, but I won something. Yep. And that's what that is what players want to say, isn't it?
Well, that's saying something, that I was in the last team to win something here. So, you know, it's long overdue, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to see us have a serious run at the Cups. Do players like that? You know, when you're a first team player, and they're suddenly saying you're not playing in the Cups, do you want to win the Cup? Obviously, you do.
It depends. Like, so obviously when you're at Aston Villa in the Championship, it's all about getting back.
Yeah, I get that.
To the Premier League.
I can get that.
Even like if I look back at my Bournemouth days, it was all gearing up for us to get to the Premier League. So that was put right on the back burner. But if I go back a bit further to Brighton, when we was an underdog, and I remember coming here in the 3rd round of the Cup playing against Aston Villa, it was a big deal, and you wanted that Cup run, you craved it. It was huge financially for the football club. So yeah, it just depends how the season pans out when you get to sort of January time. Are you knocking on the door of Europe, and that becomes a real priority? All right, if it is, let's take a few out and let's secure European football. Or are we sort of mid-table? Well, come on, and let's have a right go at this FA Cup.
I think you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself there, mate, because we're presuming that, you know, we're safe in the Premier League. Exactly, and it depends, like you say, it depends where you're at the time. If you're in the Championship and you're striving to get back in the Premier League, a cup run's no use to you, really, is it?
Villa shouldn't be in a relegation battle this season. You know, we finished 11th last season. You'd think they want to be finishing top 6, top 8.
Yeah, of course.
You would think that would.
Yeah.
That'd be the aim,
yeah. It'd be nice, but like I say, it depends what situation you're in, really.
Just want to talk a bit about the playing side again and the playing staff. Kind of skirted over it, but Tyrone Mings will be Aston Villa captain. There's 2 people say that have walked out and captain Villa at Villa Park. The others. Tyler, I've had a go playing on the pitch as captain.
I've had the armband on for like about 10 minutes.
Oh, did you?
When somebody went off.
Oh, did you? I don't remember that. Is it a big deal him now changing to captain? Losing? I think we know what losing Jack is, but like kind of off the pitch vocally, is he a big miss?
I just think it's the standards that he sets in training more than anything. The sort of beacon of hope or light that he carries going into any game. But it's obviously there's a change coming. Like you said, Tyrone Mings, John McGinn could be in there. You know, the important thing is, and this is one of the biggest lessons I learned when I come to Villa, you can't change. So you're being made captain for a reason. It's an armband. So what? Do you know what I mean? As we say, there's so many jobs in these football clubs now. People look after the tickets, the parking. Those days of a captain having to organise that, they're gone. Do you know what I mean? So you're given an armband, lead by example, train well, play well, end of. So if it is Tyrone, just don't change. Do you know what I mean? You don't all of a sudden have to become this big voice and you know what I mean, have to be the one that always at the front of things. Just do your job. That's what people are looking for you to do.
Because I suppose you've sat here all last season with no one else here, pretty much. Yeah. So you've heard how loud Tyrone is.
Yeah.
He is the vocal presence of the team anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But I'm sure, like in your dressing room, there'd have been 4 or 5 captains or people like that. Oh. So, like you say, sometimes it is just an armband, but you'll have the likes of Ashley Young, who probably sometimes won't even be playing, but he'll be like a captain in the dressing room because of his experience and what he's done. So, there's always people sort of who haven't got the armband who are virtually captains anyway in that dressing room.
remember when Dean Smith came in, he said that he was going to not have a captain and he was going to rotate, but that never really took off because Chesney was captain at the time.
And I think it was a masterstroke from Dean, because I remember the first game Chesney missed was the first one Jack come back.
Yeah.
And there was a few of us in there, like, not that it's even a conversation, but you're thinking, and he give it to Jack, and it was like, oh yeah, like,
you liked it.
I like it, like, I get it. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, like, captaincies can do weird things to people sometimes. I don't know if you saw the playoffs. Bournemouth lost their captain and made Begovic captain, really experienced guy.
And he went all over the place.
He lost the plot. And it can do things to people. And I draw on my experience when I come to the club was just, it had no leadership in any direction. So I was being brought in, this knight in shining armour who's going to be the captain and whip this one into shape. And sometimes you think too much about it. And I remember getting involved in stuff that I just didn't even need to have on my plate. I just wanted to concentrate on football, but because there weren't people doing the jobs they should have been doing at the club, you get dragged into it. Yeah. So that's where we're saying, like, this club is going in such a good direction where there are people doing their jobs and they're put in place to do their jobs. So if it is Tyrone, we all know the natural leadership that he brings anyway, the vocal presence that he brings, just carry on. Like, that would be my sort of advice to Ty.
Yeah, because he's my favourite player, to be perfectly honest. I like everything that he stands for, not just as a footballer, but as a person. And that's a big thing in a captain as well, that you can look at someone in the eye and say, I like what you stand for.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Like you say, he does lead by example. He's what he's done on and off the pitch, last season especially, has been phenomenal. Getting in the England squad and doing as well as he did, and just coping with it all. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's come out of it a better player as well.
Yeah, I'll go back with Ty, like, even to the ball. Honestly, like you say there, he's become a better player. I remember our first training session with him. If you'd have told me that he would be going on to do what he's doing now, I mean, he had all the raw sort of athleticism and attributes that you need to be able to play at that level, but he was so unpolished. And to be doing what he's doing and to keep improving, absolutely fantastic. And it's down to him, you know. He had a really, really serious injury at Bournemouth. I remember going around and seeing him after he did that and sort of sitting with him, just saying, you know, just use the time now to learn about yourself and think of other things that you enjoy, just to take your mind away from things. And you could just see he was a little bit different. Like, he could switch his mind in other sort of areas to focus on other things that brought a better person. And
he's got about 50 businesses, I think,
hasn't
he?
He's a bright lad. And again, he just leads by example on and off the pitch. So as long as he keeps doing that, he'll no doubt get better again.
Yeah, and I mean, the last position we haven't spoke about is goalkeeper. I mean, we talk about recruitment. I don't think there was a better signing last season across the whole league, really, Martinez. And you look at what he's gone on and done in the summer in the Copa America. He'll become many people's favourite player now because he's a sensation.
When you've got bloody Lionel Messi hugging you and saying you're the best thing since sliced bread, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He won him that trophy, and I think they let him know that. I thought it was brilliant and amazing signing, because he totally transformed our back five. Just sitting here watching him and thinking, he's not going to let a goal in today. The amount of clean sheets that we kept, and they were, you know, that back five was the bedrock of our season last season, and it can't be underestimated. That money, which was what, 17 million, is nothing these days, and he's a top keeper. And if I was Arsenal, I'd be spitting feathers. I can't
even work out what's happened there. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know why they let him go. But if you can get the goalkeeper wrong. I mean, you would have played at times when there was a few suspect things happening with goalkeepers. We won't name many names, but you know, it's easy to get the goalkeeper wrong. And if you get it right, it breeds
confidence.
It breeds confidence. There's nothing worse than playing at centre half and not trusting the one behind you, because it just, all of a sudden you start second guessing and you start doubting what you're doing, and then that goes to the fullbacks and then it goes to the midfielders and it just runs through the team. I remember when Jed Steer, again, he come back off loan at the same time.
Great keeper.
He might not have been the best of the bunch that we had at the time, but he was just the most steady away, knew what the job was. You know, you just knew what you was going to get. And Emmy's just been fantastic, isn't it? What a signing.
Because we talk about Mal Mings' career is catapulted. I remember a game I went to Reading away. I think you
Yeah,
played.
yeah,
I think you
played
played.
that, yeah.
Martinez was in goal for Reading, just on
yeah.
loan, just career
Yeah.
dwindling a little bit low in every season. You know, the transformation and what
Crazy.
he's done is unbelievable.
Yeah, and when you say 17 million and Arsenal are just about to go and spend 30 million on Ramsdale, you know, you can't
makes
quite.
no sense.
Yeah, which is
can you?
ridiculous, isn't it?
It's
Really?
just a lad that's been relegated twice from the Premier League, and then you've sort of stole someone. It is, you've absolutely stolen from under their noses. It's you can't quite correlate it, can you?
Neil Cutler was quite a heavy influence in getting Martinez in. I think there was I don't know whether you saw it. There's a video the other day behind the scenes on the goalkeeping train. You know, he's done a great job because every keeper's improved under him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cuts was reserve
you
team
played,
keeper when I was here, and he's not changed a bit. He's so measured with what he does. A lot of thought would have gone into that, into getting Martinez in, and what a decision! What a decision!
That's one of. Sorry, to jump in. That is one of Dean Smith's biggest assets as a manager. Like we're saying about the club bringing the right people in the right, and it's like Cuts. Right, I'm going to go and get Cuts. I trust him. I know him. I know he's the best around at what he does. Cuts, there's your job, go and do it. And he doesn't have no insecurities about someone jumping in on his time. He's just open, and he's so, even I remember when we used to analyse games, we used to come in the room, and usually 9 times out of 10 with these managers, you'd come in the room, you'd have a few clips up, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong, right, go on, then off you go. But he used to like split us into 3 groups, right, you're doing in possession, you're doing out of possession, you're doing the set pieces. All watch your clips, come back, you tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you what I think. So he empowers people to do their jobs. And I think the goalkeeping department is, because of our goalkeeping coaches' work, it's like, tells you're a centre midfielder, with all due respect, I'm not going to get you to coach me, go and volley a few balls at the goalkeeper. Let's go and get the best. And that sort of sums up Villa as a club for me at the moment. Get the best in class at what you do and let them run with it.
Yeah.
Because there is another loss other than Jack. John Terry isn't coming back this season. Is that a big deal for the club?
I think we probably saw it coming with Shaky coming in. So I think JT had already said when he came in that it was his ambition to be a manager, and he was always going to leave at some point, I thought. But I think he did fantastically well for us. I think defensively we just got better and better and better, and he must have had some influence in that. So I think his contribution to us getting back into the Premier League and stabilising ourselves in the Premier League was massive.
Because I would look at that coaching setup and say he was the fresh, the young face within that. One that the players would probably feel comfortable going to. Some of them would have played with him, obviously. From that side of things, I think it's a bit disrespectful to Dean Smith to say this, but it could be perceived as being a bit old school now without John Terry being there. But then you're saying the stuff that Dean Smith does is
I think he's very forward thinking. He was I remember coming back training, got pulled back off loan in January and seeing, I always used to see him at the race courses, like these big trucks in the middle of the race course with a big screen that pops up, and you'd watch the race when the horses are a mile away. Well, he used to bring one of them into training, Dean Smith, park it next to the training pitch, bring it up, mic into the analysis lads, and bring clips up while we were training of who we was playing on the Saturday. So
that's right.
Because
I think they've had a big screen put up at the
now,
training ground. Yeah,
but that's where he is evolving himself. He's not an old.
So is that not a normal thing? Is that's not done?
No.
Okay.
No, and it was the first time I've ever saw it. It's like, wow, what an idea!
Yeah. Instead of having to go into a room in the training room,
talk about it.
Do it outside on the pitch. Yeah.
It's there. Bang, right, lads. This is the shape they play. We'll pause it there. This is how we're going to set up when they're in that position, and it's fresh in your mind. And us footballers are below average intelligence most of the time, so it's nice to have it.
That's the time I didn't say. I don't like him saying us there now.
You're not having that one. But do you get what I'm saying about having the younger guy?
Yeah, but the thing is, they'll recruit
replace him.
They'll replace him. Yeah, the feelers will be going out now, and they'll be looking for the right one. And I think, like you said, that it will be a younger one that they can mould and model into what they want and get on board with how they do things and be open to learning. Yeah. So, but JT as a player was unbelievable for us, and as a coach, he was brilliant, and he was getting better as well. And like I said before, with Cuts, they empowered him. They used to empower JT with the back four, and there was no sort of coincidence that the back four had the season that they had last year. So it is important that they do replace him.
It wouldn't surprise me. We've got people like George Boateng, like Mile, you say.
I'd like to see Mile now.
Who are in who could easily make that transition.
Yeah, someone like Mile would, or George, because they've been around the club now for the best part of 18 months, a year, and they know how it's working. They know the sort of direction that they're going in. They know the way the manager works. It'd be a seamless sort of step up. So it'd be interesting.
Don't fancy it?
Yeah, I'd love to job that.
That's a
Just retire me. Just retire me.
Yeah, it's good to have people who've been at Villa, because I think it's a unique club to play for. Like, I don't think people understand sometimes. Like, it's different playing for Villa than it used to some of the other teams. Did you find that? Like different expectations, different pressures?
We were talking about that before.
Like when it's the best, there is no better feeling. Like it is. Yeah, you'd walk on cloud nine. You'd feel like a man mountain walking around the sea. But when it's bad, it is bad. And yeah, there is a place for people know. And I think that's one of the manager's strengths as well. Knowing he's a Villa fan, he knows that, doesn't he? But yeah, someone who understands that and know how the club works, and yeah, I'm sure it'd benefit. Because
there is certain quotes. It's not many. Don't get me wrong, on social media that say if we're going to develop as a club, Dean Smith. He's not a big enough manager, but I would 100% disagree with that, because every challenge he's been given, he's risen to, and every season there's been tangible progress. Do you see then in conclusion that there'll be progress again this season?
Yeah, 100%. And how do you become a big manager? You need to.
Yeah, you need
do you know what I mean? As you say, he was asked to get us out of the Championship, done it
straight away.
Unbelievable in the circumstances he come in and the time that he had to do it. He was asked to keep Villa up, kept him up, albeit. It was probably a little bit closer than we all liked. He was asked to improve. He's improved. So, again, let's see where he takes us this year. But, yeah, for me, he's one of them. He's not... A lot of managers, Tales, probably back in the day, it was probably a little bit worse. We're very closed off and a bit almost insecure. And it was, don't challenge me. And Dean's very, very modern. He's very open to discussion. He's very open to new ideas and new methods, set-piece coaches, all these stuff that I said before. He is... not only looking to evolve the club and the team, but himself as well. So I don't see why he can't keep...
The thing is as well, you talked about big managers. Big managers have failed at some point. There's only the likes of Pep who probably have... Well, even last season, you could look at that as a failure because he didn't win the Champions League. So they've all failed. You got Ancelotti, who's just left Everton, failed. And he's one of the most decorated ever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you talk about big managers, and it's about doing the best at the team that you're at.
Having the right fit.
Yeah.
He's the right fit, isn't he?
Yeah. And he is right now. There'll be some day when, it doesn't suit where we want to be.
Yeah.
It happens to all managers. So, as long as you're prepared for that day and you're building the club in the right way and going in the right direction, the longer managers last. Yeah. So every manager has a shelf life, don't they? So, you just hope that shelf is like one of those that you can't reach.
What are our aims this season, and what should we be aiming for?
I'd want to be obviously improving on last season.
So just to say, for argument's sake, they finished ninth. Is that enough? Is that enough of an improvement? Because you never lost Jack as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, it'd be fantastic if we can get into Europe.
That's the other thing about cups. You win a cup, you're in Europe. You don't need to worry about
that. Yeah. And to do well in one of the trophies, I'm not deluded thinking that we're going to go and win the league or anything like that. But
never know.
You never know. Leicester did it, but I think being realistic, you want to be pushing for a European place, and hopefully trying to win one of the trophies. But it's tough because everybody's improving. Yeah. Everybody's looking to improve the teams, the squads. It's a tough thing to do.
Look at Leicester now. They're probably, that's what their aim is, isn't it? To get in the Champions League and probably win a cup along the way. And they found it's tough. It's tough. And look at the investment that they're having, and they're a club going in the right direction. So to break into that top six, it's, you can't just. I don't think we can just throw it out there. They need to be in Europe. There'll be a target set out, I'm sure, which the manager will need to meet. And And I think Towers, again, if they can improve on last season, top half, have a good cup run, there's still that improvement, and the process, the signs are right that we can develop it again and go again the season after. And there will be a time where, it's game on, we need to be in Europe now because we've invested and we're set up for it. Is that right now? Probably not. We're probably a year or two away from that, I think.